Well, hello, everyone. I have a special guest with us today, Phill Nosworthy. He is the founder of the Nosworthy Group. He's based in Australia, as you'll hear that accent in just a minute. And Phill and his team are behavior change experts. They create these learning experiences that help people and organizations to architect change. And they do a lot of research around this. It isn't just motivational fluff. There's some very tangible practical tips that you're going to get out of this interview today. The reason I know that is because I got the privilege of hearing Phill speak. I attended one of these learning experiences when we met in Maui at a global conference just a few weeks ago. So Phill, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you being here.
No, thank you so much. It's a joy to be here.
Yeah. Well, I went through my notes from when we met, and I told you how many pages there were. I think it was 18 or 20 pages. It was a lot of notes I took over a couple of days, sessions.
Mm.
And there was a lot of value clearly that I got out of it, but there was a couple of things that even now, weeks after we met, continue to kind of stick out to me. These are the kinds of things I'm talking about after the fact that come up when I'm talking with my clients or, family members or whatnot. And one of the phrases that you said was that you called confidence a bad friend. And I'd like for you to tell us a little bit more about what you mean by that.
Yeah, first and foremost, I'm so glad that you took so much value from it. Notes are a beautiful thing. It's almost like outsourcing memory to the piece of paper. I think people overestimate how much we can soak up in sessions like that. And it doesn't matter who we're sitting with. I just so believe in the note-taking process to be able to go back and double down on those reflections and grow them over time. But yes, I do believe that confidence is a fair weather friend. I think for all the guff and hyperbole, for all of the people who have ever told us that we just need more confidence, it's simultaneously a statement of the obvious. And really sometimes it's quite harsh, because typically when you receive that advice, like you just need more confidence, it's because you are obviously in a state of fear or anxiety or nervousness about a task or a project or a challenge in front of you. So I know it's well-meaning advice, but the problem with confidence is it's not on the end of a switch. It's not something that you can switch on and off. What we say is that confidence is lovely when it's there, enjoy it when it's there, but understand where it comes from. Confidence really only comes from repetition. The more you do something, the more comfortable you feel as you do it. And that's the physiological, psychophysiological sensations that people confuse with confidence. Confidence and comfort are really close together. But in the absence of confidence, what I would recommend to people is to liberally apply courage. Confidence is great when it's there, but I think courage is something more helpful to orient ourselves around. And so whether it's to team leaders and CEOs or parents, I understand what they're saying when they say to the people that they are looking after and speaking into the lives of, you just need to be more confident. I get it, but it's more valuable to say to people, hey, I can see that this is a stretch for you, but be courageous. I think you can get this one done.
You just said the confidence is closely related to comfort. And that just, I don't know if you said that in Maui or not, but it really hit me when you said that if you're too confident all the time, then you could, if you replace the word with you're too comfortable all the time, right? So you're not growing. If you're consistently confident, you're a bit too comfortable with what you're doing. So talk about the convergence, to use your language, the convergence of courage and confidence.
Yeah, I mean, this is not to kind of put them on other ends of a spectrum and say, don't ever go after confidence, because I love confidence. And when you have it, it's typically because you've earned it. So if we understand that mastery comes through deliberate practice, and that's the thing that makes us literally be able to do something without thinking about it. We always go to the classic example, and this is a classic example. It's borderline corny, but it's the best one to use. I remember learning how to drive. And it doesn't matter. Like, I'd spent my entire life growing up in cars. I even remember being a 15-year-old looking at mom and dad as they were driving, going, I could totally do this. Like, you just wiggle the steering wheel, you put on the thing, and you just kind of point it in the right direction. But then I remember sitting there for the first time myself feeling so overwhelmed because there's a difference between proximity and practice. Like sometimes you can be around something quite a lot and never have had the opportunity to do it for yourself or
Yep.
by yourself. So driving that car for the first time, I remember just thinking, there's so much to do. You got to put your seatbelt on. You got to look at that mirror and that mirror and that mirror. I got to make sure I don't hit anybody. I got to indicate. I've got to like windscreen wipers. I got to like 10 and 2 and put the hand like so much.
Yeah.
But now to the point where you could sit in a car, drive home, and literally some evenings you get home from the office, a big day, and you've been processing the entire time. You come to your senses and you think to yourself, I don't even remember driving here. You've become so practiced, you've done it so much that you literally don't even have to think about it. And that's why people would describe themselves as a confident driver. But really what they're talking about is they've achieved a sufficient degree of skill that is elevated at mastery. You don't even have to think about it. That's comfort. But we all know that growth, change, progress, evolution, transformation doesn't come when we're comfortable. It comes from doing things that eminently make us feel uncomfortable, typically doing new things for the first time. And so this is why you said quite rightly, if you're looking at a week, if you're looking at a month, if you're looking at a quarter in your business, in your personal life, and you're thinking to yourself, I was comfortable the entire time, we don't bemoan that, but it's also a week, a month, a quarter where probably you haven't grown, because growth and change are synonymous, and typically that comes with a decent dose of discomfort.
Yep, absolutely. And when you use the driving example, I remember that same feeling. And I also remember the realization that I didn't know how to get anywhere, right? It wasn't just about driving the car. I'd lived in the same city my whole life, but I thought you feel like you know where things are, but like, how do I actually get from point A to point B? And like, I had to learn my way around. Like, so there's a difference just in kind of conceptually knowing something and applying something, and also getting to where you're going. Which kind of leads to my next question for you, because you talked a lot about your desired future state, and you use the example of, opening up Google Maps and be like, take me somewhere better, right? Which is so, I laughed out loud. So often how people even set business goals. Like, where do you want to go? Well, 20% better than we were last year, right? Well, what does that mean? And how we pick this desired future state, but it tends to be a reflection of our recent performance. Like, well, I did that last year, so I think I can do this next year. And that's not necessarily the best way to plan our goals, right? Can you talk about that?
I think it's really important for people to differentiate between what it is they want and what it is they think that they could reasonably expect to get. And what I worry about for so many folks is that the goal setting experience or the goal setting set of practices that they have for themselves is really just them doing the math on, well, these are the resources that I've got. I could probably pull this off in the future. Now, I see the value in that. There's wisdom in calibrating our aspirations and our goals for the future in such a way that, they are achievable. That's one of the principles of good goal setting. But what I'm really invested into is transformation. What I'm invested into is helping people to understand that you can create a lucid set of desired future states for yourself that are so compelling, so important, so meaningful to you that it becomes a challenge then to become the person who is capable of pulling that off. And that, I think, is extraordinary. So, and they lead to very different outcomes. I mean, this is why I love goal setting, but I think I want to differentiate between what is a target that I have for myself. This is something that I want to nail, and that is time-bound, it's achievable, it's measurable, tick, 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 tick. But then there's also a trajectory that I want to set my course on. I want to set my life against a trajectory that is wild and audacious and beautifully aspirational, so that each and every day it has to call greatness out of me if we want to come close to that. But the trick in this is that I've genuinely found, working with some of the greatest leaders on planet Earth, working with great artists, great musicians, great painters, great is that people tend to get what they go for.
Mm.
And so this philosophy around please don't shortchange yourself by writing goals that you think that you could pull off. That's all well and good, but you might be lowballing the future that you're designing for yourself rather than setting your sights on something really meaningful, really, really significant, not being rose-colored glasses, pie in the sky thinking, but setting this desire out there that this is what I see for myself. And then the challenge becomes, okay, so who do I need to become?
Yeah.
What do I need to learn? Who do I need to get myself around? What are the circumstances that I need to engineer in order for that to become my waking reality?
That feels very liberating to think about it that way. And as much as I believe a business in particular should have goals and targets that they're achieving,
Yeah.
I also always tell my clients, business is a boat, it's not a train, right?
Yeah.
No, train, there's one way it's going to go. You can't just make a minor deviation from that and expect to be okay. Whereas a boat is rarely on course. It's constantly course correcting, but you still know the trajectory. There's just about a bajillion ways that you can get there. So that I love thinking about not just the targets, but also the trajectory. Who's the person I'm becoming? What's the type of organization we're becoming? Where's our culture going? How are we doing it, developing our people and their trajectory as well? So really, really powerful concept. Any final thoughts or tips that you like to share with our audience today, which is mostly business owners, CEOs, leaders of all levels?
Yeah. We could double click on that last idea. And, I joke about the reason why I'm grateful for not having achieved the 10-year goals that I set for myself 10 years ago, because as much as I like that version of me, like I'm 39 now, and 29-year-old Phill, I'm really grateful for him because what he did was really necessary for us to get here. But what I'm grateful for is that my life isn't the sum total of what he thought was possible. And all the more reason to really cultivate a deep commitment to growth and change and evolution. We should be able to rewrite our goals for ourselves periodically through the year because of the extent and the size of change that we're experiencing. Our goals for ourselves should change as much as we do. And so that it becomes this rich and constant work in progress for us. I think that's probably the most important thought, is that we're a constant work in progress, and we want to keep rewriting our future as we get closer there. God forbid we ever actually hit the goals that we've set for ourselves. Really what we should be doing is constantly rewriting new aspirations as we grow up, as we level up and change.
Growing into the new goals. I love it. Thank you again for your time and your abundance in sharing. It's also very early for you, so I really appreciate you making the time, and I hope our paths will cross again soon.
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much.